Sophia Richard, and forget to shop Merch with a Perp on YGoProject.com. That's YGoProject.com/merch-with-a-perp. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Trauma Translator Live. I'm your host, Lauren Friedman, also known as Not Another Healing Asshole. And today I'm really excited to be welcoming Steve Spiro, Master Connector, to the podcast and show live. He is somebody that I connected with through being a super connector. So without further ado, let's welcome Steve.
Hey, what's going on, Lauren? Hey, everyone. Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct here today. Good to be on here with you. I appreciate it.
It's so nice to have you on. You really do have a presence. So I'm really excited to have you on. Tell everyone about you have a very big following and a really robust and long live. So tell everyone a little bit about your background in just live streaming, because you're
we're going to be close to an hour today. I got a big story here. No, I appreciate it. So my background, originally from the Bronx, New York. My dad was an entrepreneur, owned a liquor store, but so entrepreneurship was part of my DNA for a lot of years, but wound up going into advertising marketing, went to high school and college for that, commuted into the city. Got out of college, couldn't get a job, so started a company, opened a small advertising agency. So did that. I know we have the advertising piece in common, Lauren, you and I. And then wound up also getting involved in the martial arts in 1983. I held a couple black belts and then had a karate studio. Had a very illustrious career in advertising, did well. Along the way, early on in my childhood, got picked on, bullied. I was learning disabled, dyslexic, a lot of challenges. Growing up, I did a TED Talk recently, and on that TED Talk, I talk about how my best friends growing up were characters on TV. Captain Kirk from Star Trek, Felix Unger from The Honeymooners, and Ralph Cramden, from actually Felix Unger from the Odd Couple, I guess, and Ralph Cramden from The Honeymooners. Anyway, long story short, I was very isolated, very introverted, didn't like being around anybody, and then eventually doing really well, driven, because I was bullied and kind of looked down upon. I had an edge. I still do have an edge. Started to, be open to things. And in the advertising industry, a good friend of mine introduced me to an incredibly successful entrepreneur who challenged me to meet 3 strangers every day. And that was the game changer. That kind of set a trajectory in a way I totally didn't expect. Started growing a massive network, people started asking me to speak. And today I'm an inspirational keynote speaker. I have a live podcast every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern called the Master Connector Show. My vision is to speak, to be the light, to be paid to travel the world, speak and inspire, and be a beacon of light. And I obviously have a book. Like I said, I did a podcast. I did the TED Talk. So just incredibly excited to be here. Very blessed, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be on and share my story with your community.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And we do have a lot in common that when you and I first met, so what's really funny about our story is when you think about connecting, right? You're a master connector. I'm a super connector, or I actually called myself, we met on the Super Connectors podcast.
That's right.
Mike, but we actually met before that. I actually used to call myself, I told you this, a suited connector, which is a poker term for people or cards that connect other cards to make stronger hands. So that actually used to be on my LinkedIn profile for many years. When I got hired, my last job that I got hired at Oracle, I was bounced around to all these different teams. And the last person I spoke to me on the phone, and he was like, "What does that mean? What is a suited connector?" And I was like, "I'm good at connecting people." And that's one of the things that you and I really bonded over. Also your background in advertising and marketing, but also fitness, right? And being bullied and having to overcome adversity. These are all things, that's what I'm trying to highlight here, because when you think about like learning disabilities and being bullied, those are actually all how trauma is manifested in real life, right? Like everybody gets bullied, and a lot of people have learning disabilities, and it's actually not really a disability. It's really like your body's response to what's going on, so they're tied hand in hand. But overcoming that adversity is a big thing. And you and I met through a mutual connection from a different connector before we met on the podcast that we were already going to be on. So that was crazy. And I think what's really interesting for the audience today is to just hear a little bit about, I'd love to hear how you started your live just a little bit, honestly, because I think that's because Jesse also, I don't know if you guys had a chance to chat before I came on, but Jesse also is like an old school live person. And I think that's interesting from people who are good at connecting others, what your POV is on live and how that works with, obtaining speaking engagements. Cause that's also part of my platform too, is to share my insane story with the world and help people overcome and unfuck their lives, because that's all we got to do. Right.
Yep. Yeah. So your question is my perspective on live broadcast
and how that helps from like a speaking engagement standpoint.
Yeah.
How that's helping you get those speaking engagements. Because that's one of the things that people are all struggling with. Like, how do we get in front of the right audiences to drive our businesses forward now? It's a really competitive ecosystem.
For sure. So number one, I feel like live, number one, it's more interactive. And, if we do a podcast, which I'm guessing yours does too, but mine becomes a podcast afterwards. It goes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's great, but there's no interactivity. But here, if people are watching live, like I know there's people in the comments, David, I appreciate you. Jesse's on here, and there's that, and people can ask questions. So I believe that interactivity is good, but also you got to be on your game. This is live, and I don't know about you, but for me, when I go live, I don't edit it at all. So whatever is exactly on live goes on to my podcasts, on the platform. So it's what you see is what you get. So you got to be on your game. And I think it was Malcolm Gladwell talked about to 10,000 hours. So you're getting the reps in, you're being used to being able to just talk from the hip and be able to roll with the punches. Technology is great, but it sometimes doesn't work great. So you got to be able to roll with that. But also it's a great platform because now you're a thought leader. You have the ability to show that you're a thought leader. And then also I use it also sometimes for an opportunity to connect with people and have people come on with me that perhaps people I haven't been able to connect with before, or maybe people I would like to collaborate with. And now I can have them on my show. So there's an opportunity for that as well, which presents other great venues and directions you can go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with you. And I think that anybody that is trying to be, getting in front of audiences, whether it's on a live or on a podcast. I mean, everybody I like to curse a lot. So, it is what it is. I do have a very robust vocabulary besides this, but I always say, like, anyone with an asshole and a microphone, any asshole with a microphone and an internet thinks that they should, be on live TV, be on live television. But you're right. It does take that practice. You do have to be on your game. And for someone like you, right, who you're the thing that changed your life is meeting three new people a day, that requires you to be on your game, right? Like, and the thing is that sometimes your body doesn't want to meet three new people a day, but you have to figure out a way to get yourself to a place where you feel comfortable enough to do that, right? Because I think something that we didn't touch upon yet, but it is something I just know about you from the past, is that you were historically reticent, right? You were shy as a child. So this is something that helped you better connect with people. Am I getting your story correct?
Yeah. I mean, the meeting strangers part, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was not in my DNA at all. New Yorker, introvert, meeting strangers. What? It's like, I like to say, you talk to strangers in New York, you feel like you're going to get shot, kidnapped, or killed. But it didn't happen. I mean, I know, quick story. I'm sure you remember, Lauren, but, we took a break from being up in the studio and we went down for coffee.
Coffee shop.
And, I started a conversation with a random guy at the coffee shop, and he didn't kill me. He didn't shoot me. Right. So we wound up exchanging contact information. So it's really amazing. But yeah, I mean, that sort of broke me out of my shell to a degree. I had to, if you watch my TED Talk, you'll see there was some ridiculously crazy things that have happened. I'll just say urinal, and then you need to go watch the TED Talk if you haven't, because then you'll get to hear the story. It's ridiculous. But, it got me out of my comfort zone. And, one of the things that the martial arts did for me was started to train me. I learned that there's danger in the comfort zone. I learned the comfort zone is your casket. I don't like to be in the comfort zone. To me, I feel uncomfortable in the comfort zone, when I'm in the comfort zone. So that's a big part of it. So yeah, meeting strangers, sure. Learning how to connect with people was definitely out of the comfort zone. But here's what it did teach me. It taught me what was effective. Many of you folks have seen, I'm sure, it's an old school movie. It's Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, where he does the same day over and over and over again until he eventually perfects it. And so for me, meeting strangers, and I don't know how many, it's probably been close to 10,000, but that's been like Groundhog Day, like just seeing the reaction. I learned that meeting strangers are like, it's like petting a dog. People like dogs, okay? Now, I'm not calling you dogs, but people are like dogs. And here's what I mean. You go pet a dog, maybe it's a golden retriever or a I don't know, a nice poodle or whatnot. They're nice, they're friendly, they lick your hand. You go to pet a pit bull or a German shepherd, like, right? They want to bite you, the hair stands up. Or some people like cats, they don't care and they walk away, right? So people are like that, and it doesn't mean that I'm bad or I'm a bad person. It just means that people are just people and they have certain reactions. So that's kind of my perspective. But I learned all those things. I learned how to really connect with people on a human level. I learned the value of listening. I learned the value of really asking good questions. I won't give away all of the TED Talk because you got to see it. But one of the things that I think I've got a lot of response on from my TED Talk is I talk about when you enter a room, don't try to be the most interesting person. Be the most interested person. Be there to listen, to learn. You want to know more about them. And so that's been it's been a really great learning experience.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. See, I've had the opposite situation. Like I've never not been able to talk to people, which is also a survival mode skill. I learned at a very young age that I was going to have to fend for myself. And it was before I had words or anything. And so for me, I always looked like outgoing and gregarious and talkative. Like I remember when you think about to me, and you grew up in New York City at a very different time than I did, right? So, but I had what? No, I'm saying that New York was actually dangerous. So when my dad grew up in that time, and I remember being 5 years old and we were on our way to the Bronx to visit one of our family, or I was 6 probably. And one of our family friends had a baby, and we didn't have air conditioning in our car, and we didn't have automatic windows. So they couldn't just roll up the window. So I had the window down, we were stopped at a light, and I started talking to this man. He had bloodshot eyes. He was homeless. He was, and I remember my dad being afterwards, he's like, Lauren, you can never do that again. And the guy was in the window, and my sister was an infant. And I just remember thinking what's wrong with that? Why can't I just talk to this random man who sticks his head into the car? And so I never had that fear, but everybody around me did. So it's interesting when I meet people who now have been able to overcome it. And these are interesting ways that people can do it. The way I recommend people to do it is to actually reset your nervous system, because the only way you could really connect authentically with anybody is with a regulated nervous system. Otherwise, you're just out to lunch. And so that's one of my missions here, because I used to be known, everyone wanted my energy. I didn't know I was in pain, And so when you don't know you're in pain, you can continue to keep on the other things. And once you understand it, it kind of sets you back. So I also had to learn how to reconnect with people, right? Yeah. So resetting your nervous system, meeting 3 people a day, not being afraid of them. Because I didn't even consider that. I just talk to people too. And when you consider they might kill you, that's a different ballgame.
Yeah, growing up from the Bronx, there was some of that for sure. I can relate to a lot of what you talked about. You mentioned the air conditioning. Yeah, growing up, we were pretty broke, and this is a different time. Like you said, we had an air conditioning system called 4x60. You know what that is?
No, I mean this was in the car.
4 windows rolled down, going 60 miles an hour. That's that was air conditioning, okay? Yeah. But no, we didn't have anything like that. I went to the dentist, and I didn't even get Novocaine because we couldn't have. I later learned out it's because we couldn't afford it. It was an extra cost for the dentist. Anyway, we can go on the poor guy route, but
we don't need to do that. I was just stating why I remembered that, because it was very scary to me. Afterwards.
No, that's all good. No, I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying. Yeah. For sure.
No, but I agree with that. But to your point, that also set the stage for you to be afraid of people, and then you got bullied, and then so a lot of people. It's funny because my best friend or my ex-best friend and my ex-husband are very similar, and they always looked at me and they're like, "How can you just talk to anybody? How can you just do that?" And I never thought twice about it, And when you think about breaking those barriers each day, that idea of meeting one new or 3 new people a day is a big deal. But how do you suggest that to people to do that when everyone feels so isolated these days, especially work from home? It's hard to meet people. What do you suggest? How would you suggest doing that?
I'm glad you asked, Lauren, because I could tell you. Listen, in reality, number one, you got to figure out why you want to do it. No one's going to do anything for the sake of it. So for me, I realized true success. It took some time for me to realize this, and I've done well, but true success is not bigger houses or cars. To me, it's not the bigger money in your bank account. It's how many people are better off because you're here. It's all about impact. So once I realized that and I made that kind of switch or shift in my brain, now I realized in order to do that, I need to be around people. I need to have people in my life. For years and years, I realized, I said to myself, this world would be great if it wasn't for people. I really had no need for people. I just didn't feel like there was any need for them. And I've shifted since. So what I'll tell you is this: if you understand that you want to go meet people and you see the value of it, then here's how I'll tell you: you want to live your life on purpose. And this is what I mean. Most people, I belong, you talked about fitness. So I belong to a gym and I go probably 5 or 6 days a week. And when I join a gym, a lot of times they'll give you the schedule of when's the busiest time at the gym. And they're like, okay, you don't want to come around 5 to 7. And in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, yes I am. I'm coming between 5 and 7 because that's when people are going to be there and I want to meet people. When I go into a supermarket, I don't go to the shortest line, I go to the longest line because I'm going to be on lines with people so I can talk to them. When I go to gas stations, I don't go to the ones that have the least amount of people. I go to the ones where there's most amount of people. So I do things on purpose to be around people. And, if I'll pick a Starbucks that has better quality or better people because I want to be around people. So I live life on purpose and live my life that way so that I can actually be around people and make conversations, and conversations lead to connection.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, the thing is I also do that. It's about living intentionally, right? Like you have to, like you said, right? You can't just tell someone to go meet 3 people a day or tell anyone to do anything unless like you literally want to do it yourself. You can't do anything, right? You can't affect change in someone else, let alone yourself, unless you have your own determining factors and driving force. But from a connecting standpoint, it is about intention. But for me, before I put myself in those engagements, in those environments, number one, the supermarket, that is not the place that I'll do it in the aisles, but not in line if I could avoid it, because I'm always carrying a bunch of things because now we're not allowed to have bags, you have to BYOB. So when I do that now, I think about, is my nervous system in a place where I can connect authentically before I just like put myself into those places where I used to just do that automatically. I would just be everywhere and people just like want to talk to me. I'm like one of those people. And even when I'm like in a bad place, people just like gravitate towards me. So I think about things a little bit differently now than I did prior to this journey, because when you put yourself in those environments, you also have to be ready to engage in a safe and effective manner for everybody. So I'm not saying for you, but for me, that's what I've learned.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's very important to do that to make sure that you connect with people. You mentioned being authentic. I got to say, for a long time, I was not like my mentor, the gentleman. So that how I was able to start meeting 3 strangers was because I was challenged by a mentor who has changed my life, like I said. And I would see him around people. I'd see him around, up on stages, and I'd see him, get teary-eyed or cry. And I'm like thinking to myself, man. And I always thought that if you showed emotion and you shared, you were being vulnerable. And that was because I was very wounded. And when you're broken and wounded and you have a hole in your heart, you don't want anyone near you because you're afraid you're going to get hurt. But I realized that through being vulnerable and sharing some of those insecurities, it actually made me stronger. I'm actually stronger for it, because I would look at him on stage and I'm thinking, that's the strongest man I've ever met in my life, because he's not afraid to show his emotion. Weak people don't show their emotion and be vulnerable, but strong people can, because they're strong enough in their self-esteem and their self-confidence that they could do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is what you're talking about is like a very deep conversation that we could do a whole like series on.
I'm
And
a deep.
that's also part of what I'm talking about too, is because people, like, I was taught as a child, like, my mom is German, her mom escaped the Holocaust, like, my mom was first generation here, so I was told that I was not allowed to have emotions. Like, after my dad tried to kill himself in my car, my mom, and it was like for the whatever amount of time, my mom said, I don't like telling you about these things because you don't take them well. And I'm like, what do you mean? How am I supposed to take them? And I wasn't crying. I was just annoyed that I had to get a new car. My car was shit to begin with. It was like a 1987 Camry in 2003. It didn't work, but it was a car. You know, the heat didn't work, the air didn't work, but it got me places. So I had a lot of problems going on, and like I wasn't allowed to have emotions. And that's a major problem for humans, not just men, not just women, not just kids, not just adults. When you're not allowed to have emotions, it builds up inside your body and it makes you sick. And when you talk about like feeling like you have a hole in your heart, is that what you said? That was what I heard. Yeah, because in my head, like, I agree with you. I felt like my soul was dead. I felt like I was dead inside. Like there was a point where I could only sleep when I was on a plane because I was running so far away from my life. Like I couldn't be home because it was, and I didn't know it though. That's literally fight or flight in real life. So when you think about not being able to show emotions and showing them publicly, that is part of authenticity, 100%. But being able to have emotions, period, with yourself and being able to express them, being able to identify them and just release them is how we get better and how we could truly connect with ourselves and with others. Like I'm really passionate about this because, you know, I love connecting with people and people love connecting with me. And I just think that when you have the ability to connect with yourself first, it changes everything. You never put yourself in any of those situations that are bad for you anymore because you know how to listen to your body. So, and you don't have to have a hole in your heart, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. So, you know, you all know that I have a background in the martial arts. And so prior to the martial arts, I was so wounded and broken that I started to create this protective shell around me. And to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to block not only emotional pain, but physical pain. And so the rare times I left my room when I was growing up around my sisters, I had two sisters, two younger sisters, I would go to my sister and I'd hand them my hand and I'd say, okay, here, punch it, bite it, scratch it, pinch it, no pain. And I was able to block emotion and pain. Fast forward, I wound up going into the martial arts. And I learned in the martial arts, the philosophy of it is, at least at this school, show no emotion, show no pain. I'm like, great, I'm in. This is going to be a perfect environment for me to thrive in. Totally. And that worked for a while, but long term, it doesn't. It doesn't. You need to be able to. And but it allowed me to get to a different place in my life, and that was a good thing.
No, that's it. But that's also a really important point that I think that a lot of people also lose sight of is that those types of environments, right, like are not meant to traverse every part of life, right? Like when you're not supposed to show pain or emotion in a martial arts environment, that doesn't mean for your whole life, right? And correct. We get stuck in those types of thought processes and those types of survival modes. And that's one of the things I also agree with you. Like I never even felt pain until I was literally almost 40. And I thought that I was just impervious to pain. I thought I was strong as bull, you know, and I am, but like, it's literally not being in your body. So it's so interesting for me to think about like those things now with the lens of trauma and just understanding how those components really can affect your life. And I didn't know that school of thought in the martial arts. Like I didn't consider that until just now, but it makes sense, right? Because if you're getting punched, you can't show any pain because you're going to literally be in pain.
One of the things I read the book San Sui, which is The Art of War.
Yeah, I read it.
And it would talk about how these martial arts masters would literally stand in front of each other and no one would move because the first person that moved had the weakness.
Yeah.
And that's been translated into business. But anything that you show can be a weakness in combat, right? So again, because I was in a place where I was so vulnerable and wounded, I was so protective. But again, once you get healed, then you're like, screw it, who cares? The heck with it, right? Because it doesn't matter because I can't be hurt anymore. And you could get hurt, but it's not going to be those deep wounds. Like when you have a hole in your heart, if somebody pokes in that hole, it's literally going to, hurt your heart, if you will, right? Because it's wide open, right? So it's just different today.
Yeah, no, and I think that's beautiful. For me personally, I mean, I don't think there's healed. I think there's healing, right? There's like a
Sure.
spectrum,
There you
but
go.
you're in a better place. I still
Yeah.
think though that like, I mean, I'm still like, we're in different places, right? And I still think though that there's like you still can have a whole, you know how to address it better. You know how to feel the feelings. You know how to move through it so it doesn't get stuck and it doesn't eat you alive. Because yeah, the art of war. Like, are you I forget what it is. Is it a warrior in a garden or gardener or gardener in war or something? Whatever that.
You got it better than I do. Okay, I don't know that part. Yeah.
But that's literally like,
yeah.
I believe it's from that book. But that's truly like what it is. And like when you think about like, it's not just in combat, it's anywhere. When you think about business, just engaging with people in the animal. Like if we look at animals, right? Eye contact. The minute you break eye contact, you're the weak one, and that's what they prey on you. So it goes back, you know, in our DNA from like just like being mammals. And I couldn't agree more with you. And I think it's beautiful that you've now been able to find that connection to yourself, that you can have those emotions and know that doesn't make you weak. Because as a strong man like you, right, that's a big, powerful thing for people to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I think somebody wrote in the comments, it might have been Jesse, that, you know, men are programmed to not show emotions, but I think it's exactly, there it is, you know. Yeah, society wants to condition men, but really that is it's a false thing. It's not healthy. It's not good. And the true man that shows their emotion is really I think the stronger one, not the ones that just are stoic and don't show it.
Well, and that's been one of my missions here, is to help men better assimilate into society, because you know my dad did commit suicide, and the doctor that solved this, her dad also took his own life. And you know, being guided by suicide spirit guides, like men are in crisis, and when 50% of the population or more is in crisis, what kind of society do we have? And it's literally everybody, though. It's not just men who weren't taught. It's also, I think we've overcorrected as a society. Like, you know, women want to work, all great. Now, guess what? I worked so hard that now I don't have a job for 3 years. My ex-husband doesn't know how to figure out how to make money to pay me alimony that will support me in this fashion. And I just lost my health insurance from the state of New Jersey. So what's going on in society? Let's teach each other how to be better to ourselves so we can be better to others. And having emotions, men having emotions, being able to be human is the first step, because being human is life-changing. That's why, like, I also didn't know how to be human. So I feel like I'm like kind of the connection between like women and men a little bit.
I think being human is so important, especially in today's world, right? Everyone's talking about AI and AI, you know, technology, AI. It's great. It's not, to me, it's not the secret weapon. It's a tool. But,
cool.
But the human piece, right? One of the things I speak on from stage is the real AI, which is authentic influence, right? And that's my version of it. But I think it's so important because, you know, it's funny. I was on a call today with a gentleman who was in my network, and I've been noticing him. He's been commenting to some of my posts on LinkedIn, and you know, I just didn't feel like they were his. So I said to him, "I just got a question about your posts." He said, "What about it?" I'm like,
"Yep.
Are you doing them?" He said, "Well, I have a VA doing them." Is the VA using AI? Probably. It's like I could see it, and you know, even LinkedIn itself has got some algorithms. Actually, LinkedIn uses AI to stop or penalize AI-driven content.
Which is every single content that I have a very strong POV on. I hate AI content. It's so easy to spot. Everybody's using it.
Really
it's a waste of everything. So we have AI talking to each other. What's the point of this? I agree with you, but that they're not doing a good job of it, because every person, if it starts with, oh, it's not this, it's that, that's AI. Like, it's so ridiculous.
The secret is human, though. That's when you got to be human. You got to take it outside of the platform and be human. You know, I had a conversation recently about somebody. I've been telling people this in a nice way. I want to tell them this themselves, but I'm saying to people, because a lot of times people are just, they want to message you. And, you know, I know we had some messaging going on today, but I'm like, you can't communicate through messaging. It's impossible. So I tell people, like, I think the world has gotten crazy. We've gotten out of our minds. We think we can communicate through technology, through messaging, but you can't. I remember hearing an audio recently on the word dude. It was called Dude. The audio was called, podcast was called Dude. And basically he said, okay, so tell me what this means. I'm going to say the word dude and you tell me what it means.
Okay.
Dude. Okay. Well, you got like, there's an ugly bug on your sweater. Dude. Hey, that's a really cool car you just got. Like you get the point, right? You could say the same word, but through wording, you don't get, yeah, dude, where's my car? You don't get the meaning. Yeah, you can use emojis, but it's not the same. You got to get off the platform.
You don't have the context behind it. I agree with you. And I don't think the world is crazy. It's not gone crazy. It just is. Like,
it is.
What is going on right now? Like, I just spoke to my neighbor right before this. I think I said this. She lost her job months ago and she's a protected class. Like, she's, within an age group that like she might not get hired. That's a big problem in society. I don't know what to do either. So I like struggle. I'm like, I'm an out of work tech worker. Try not to be a sex worker. Like, do I start? I'm serious. That's gonna be my post later on Instagram. Watch out for it. But these are real things that people are struggling with, and AI can't solve it. And the thing is my background is in tech. I was selling AI and machine learning for the past 10 years. It's not new. It's just new to the consumer, right? And everybody's using it. Like, you wrote your book before AI, which I love that for you, because that means you didn't use AI to write your book. Because every single person that I see,
I did not.
I know. And you know what? AI can write everyone's books. They can write all your posts. But when you have to be in a room to speak like this, you can't use AI. You could have a few, lines you use and be good. But unless you're on something like this where you actually know how to speak with a person, have speaking engagement, who's going to hire that person? Why would you want to make that your brand? I couldn't agree with you more. I'm really angry about this as an artist, as a creator, as a marketer, as a solopreneur. Like, I don't want to read your AI shit. I just don't.
Yeah. Listen, I'm with you. Take the time. And well, for a couple things. Number one, you can use AI, of course. I'm not saying don't. I use it every day.
Yeah, you use it to massage what you're.
But you can massage it. You can also program it better, right? My AI knows me really, really well. They know, my language. She knows my, what my background. Again, I know you can't get like super personal with AI because it's public domain, but she knows what I speak about. She knows, I put in all my scripts, my talk tracks, all these things are in there. So she knows me, but again, still, you got to make sure you've got that human piece of it for sure.
Well, I like that it's a she. Number one, I don't know what platform you're using, but I've been playing with different AIs for a while.
Straight up chat.
What is it?
I use straight up chat GPT.
Oh yeah. I just I think it's funny you think it's a she. I love that though. It's like Siri, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I've been playing around with it. I also I see a lot of limitations, and I also see how everyone's content is exactly the same, and I'm so sick of it. You can literally see everyone's post, especially on Instagram. Everyone's single post looks the same. So like, what are we doing? And it's just so frustrating to me as someone who's trying to scale a business in an already really competitive market ecosystem. And then like, this is what's going on. Like, don't give me your AI BS. I would rather hear you speak. And a lot of people, that's the thing. Content is only as good as authenticity, as the authenticity behind it, right? Like everything you're saying, it's the same as connecting with people. You can't connect with people using AI, but you can in real life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I have people that are, like you're talking about, that have, they're displaced, in terms of their jobs, and they're looking and they're applying. And that's great. But I say, listen, get outside of the platform, go walk into the company, put on your best Sunday suit, go walk into the company and ask for the person, not the HR person.
That doesn't really exist anymore though. Like, you really can't. Like, you can to some degree. Like, I had to do it for serving. I've done it. I've gotten declined, just so you know. Like, I worked for Oracle, I worked for the New York Times, I worked for eBay, PayPal. I worked for some of the biggest companies in the world. And I cannot get a job as a server at a luncheonette down the street. I can't get a job at Whole Foods. I can't, like, no one will fucking hire me. So I go in, by the way, and I'm like, hi. And they're like, we know you'll be our best employee, but you don't have the experience recently. And I'm like, sorry, I haven't served for 20 years. I had a career. No, I agree with you. Like, that's what I used to do in my business engagements when I would like we would go do drop-offs, right, to our clients, even
sure.
out of town. I had a client that ran a test with me, and I was in Atlanta, and I was staying directly across from their office. And I went in there so many times with like, I was like, here are these cookies. Here's this handwritten note. And they still didn't respond to me. So like, you know, like sometimes it doesn't work, but I agree with you. And it's also just not like in today's day and age, when you apply blindly on LinkedIn, where do you go for that then, you know?
Yeah. I mean, listen, the reality is it's purely a numbers game. And, you know, whether you apply or not, you could apply, but I'm just saying, you know,
One person, I agree with you.
There's a guy that I know that I mentor that applied this and he got a job within 3 weeks. Now I'm not suggesting that everyone will get a job within 3 weeks, but you got to get outside the platform. And I'm reading a great book, rereading a great book for probably second or third time. It's called Go for No, and where he talks about in the book where you want to get as many no's as you can, because in those no's you're going to get the yes. And I think a lot of times people, and this is not you, Lauren, but a lot of people, they want to get that yes. But if you go and knock on enough doors, or you call enough people, or you're going to get the right yeses. But I don't believe that algorithm or that numbers thing will work as well in your favor on a platform like Indeed or just applying through LinkedIn. If you send enough emails, personal emails, by the way, if you send email, don't just write out an email. Why not put a personalized video together and email them with that video? Or if you connect with them on LinkedIn, why not send a personalized video on LinkedIn? Those are the things that, again, the human piece that will actually be the differentiator. Because in your case, you got a great smile, you're well put together, you're going to stand out. Whereas if I just see an application, by the way, the algorithms are not even going to let that come to me if I'm a hiring person. But if it does, you're just a name, you're just a statistic. Whereas if you come to me and I'm hiring and I see you, I hear you, I could tell you're articulate, you've got a great vocabulary, short of the F-bombs, all that stuff is coming. And I know no, you're good. But anyway, you get the idea. So that's what's going to stand out. And again, it's a numbers game.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. I just also I don't think hiring managers want to have time to look at a video.
They may not. They may not.
To be honest. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's really hard these days. Like I've gotten personal referrals and still gotten declined for an interview. Like it's really hard, but I don't disagree with you. Like I think you should do whatever you can to make that human connection and whatever.
But what do? Do you just keep
everything you can?
You got to try other stuff. If you do whatever, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. You just keep doing it.
That's why I ended up in this journey, because I couldn't continue to lose my job in advertising and technology 6 times. Then we told it's my fault, even though I'm a top producer. It's not. It's the fucking companies. So these are real problems that people have, and I agree with you. The idea of getting off of that same thought process and that same track and doing something different is where the magic happens. I couldn't agree with you more. I love that. So as a closing, I would love to just hear a little bit more about what you're excited about today. I know that you had your recent TEDx talk, and everyone should go check that out is it on your YouTube page, I believe, right?
You could get to it there, but no, because I'm with TEDx, you're not allowed to repost the entire. I could do like a little clip of it, but I can't repost it. But yeah, you go Steve Spiro. The topic of my talk is how introverts can out-connect the rest. That's my topic. So you just type in that, or just type in Steve Spiro TED Talk, and it'll come up. But I mean, that TED journey has been great, because what it did is it helped me understand, as I put out applications of the same talk, which was this talk, how introverts can out-connect the rest. I got obviously selected, and then I had these applications out, and people called me back and they said, "Hey, Steve, we want to have you to our TED Talk." And I'm like, okay, but would you be open to another talk? And they said yes. So then that made me reframe and think about what I want to talk about. And my TED, the guy who was helping me with the TED, said, "Hey, number one, why are you doing TED?" Because I want to be on stages, more stages. He said, "Okay, good. What's your good stage, the right stage?" Sales. I have a very strong background in sales, 20 plus years, hardcore sales, door-to-door sales. So that has allowed me to really reframe and rethink about what I am as a speaker. So I speak on three main things as my main keynotes. One is breaking barriers to create real human connection is digital AI-driven world. it's a very connected world, but it's very disconnected. The screen has created a barrier. I speak on how to break those barriers, and I kind of spoke on that: being authentic, being others focused, having grit, and building community, growing connections. The other one is that real AI talk, and then the third is going from transactional to transformational. Everyone in sales, it's B2B or B2C sales, but what about B2H, business to human? So really sales, I've got my website being redone to reflect my positioning. I've got my new speaker scissor reel coming out. So I'm just excited about my vision is to be paid to travel the world, speak and inspire and be a beacon of light. And I'm excited to continue on that journey there.
Oh, that's a beautiful vision. I love that. And I think you're going to have a beautiful journey ahead of you. That's wonderful. I hope everyone goes to your website. And I watched your TEDx talk, like, I believe when you first sent it to me, but I don't think I realized where it was. So I'm excited to rewatch it again. And thank you so much for coming on the show, and excited to see where your journey leads you. Join us next week and for another episode.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. And join us next week for another episode of the Trauma Translator Live at 1 p.m. Eastern. To all of the jewelry that I have behind me, I'm always wearing the Camuso Shift necklace. And the reason why is that it actually is an anxiety antidote. It helps you shift into calm in real time. And it's all about the exhale. So what I like to do is do a 4-4-8 breath. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, and 8 seconds on the exhale. And the exhale is where the magic happens. It actually helps reduce your heart rate. It reduces blood pressure in real time, and it helps you breathe into calm. So let's do it together. Inhale for 4. It just feels so good. This is truly my favorite. From the beach to the boardroom, you could wear it everywhere.